Jet! Good job today, man. One at a time, and we'll get the job done. Y'all know what to say. On three. 1, 2, 3.
And the home of the Jets.
Good evening, everybody. Let's talk Jets. March 16th. It is flying by, man. Free agency flew by, man. It was here like yesterday, and all of a sudden now we're like a week into all this. How you doing, Bubs?
Tyson, how's it going? Hope everybody in chat is doing well. It's it's been flying by quick. Off season so far. It's funny. It feels like we were just doing the Sunday night stream predicting everything about free agency from the quarterback all the way down the rest of the roster. And we finally got a lot of answers 1 week into free agency. And now you start to really put your eyes on the draft a little bit. With the remaining holes in this roster and where the Jets go from here, 2 picks in the top or 4 picks in the top 44, 2 in the first round. So lots to still look forward to and still potentially some free agency still to happen. Obviously, there's always kind of that second wave as moves continue to happen, but definitely off season going by pretty quickly so far.
Dude, today the Jets pulled off a miracle because they found the way to trade Justin Fields, which I thought was basically impossible. I was like, you know what? June 1st cut, you're going to eat $10 million, whatever. And all of a sudden you come out and like, boom. Now you got Justin Fields going to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Jets actually saved $3 million and they get a 6th round pick in 2027, which is a highly valued draft. You got to give Muji credit, man. He pulled a rabbit out of the hat with this one.
Yeah, 100%. The fact that you're able to get anything for Justin Fields, you take it. This was a move that we all kind of saw coming, going back to the Woody Johnson comments, then the benching. We all, even during the season, it's like designate him as a post for June 1st cut, move on. It probably would have resulted, save $10 million, but would have resulted in, I think, $13 million dead cap. So this definitely saves them some money. They get Kansas City to pay $3 million of the $10 million, so the Jets are only paying $7 million of it. They get the fact that they get a draft pick for him, that's a positive. You now have 10 picks in next year's draft, which everybody predicts is going to be this really low draft class. So the more capital, the better. They've also got a projected, as of right now, $153.9 million in next year's free agency. So they're building up assets for not just what they have this year, but also building towards the future. The fact that you're able to get a draft pick for him. And I think just when you look at the Geno Smith move and you look at now this Fields trade, it essentially makes up for the Geno move because you save $3 million, you're paying Geno $3.3 million. So essentially the money that you saved with Justin Fields, you're now paying for Geno. And then you gave up a 2026 6th for Geno, but now you get a 2027 6th for Fields. So you kind of swap 6th round picks and the money you get back for Fields you can give to Geno. So a really shrewd move for Muji, a really smart move for Muji, and another one of these like good value moves from him that we've seen a lot, whether it's flipping or a late round pick for, the Phillips, the Briggs, the Brownlees, or in this case, giving up Fields and getting a 6th and saving some money.
It's funny you say this because I actually just did a video on this because you think about when Muji and Glenn first came here, and last year was chaos, dude. You get rid of Aaron Rodgers, you had the Justin Fields move, you had a lot of free agents that didn't work out. Draft class was kind of mixed match. You're like, all right, they're both on the hot seat going into this year. That's kind of what we all thought, right? But then as the season played out, he got good value for the Sauce trade, good value for the Quinnen trade. You mentioned all the other trades, Briggs, Brownlee, Harrison Phillips. You're seeing, okay, this is getting really interesting. Now you go into this free agency class where the Jets are not a desirable location by no means. You have plenty of cap space, but a lot of guys don't want to come here, and you have a ton of holes. And he pragmatically filled holes with everything that was reasonable, like the trade for Minkah Fitzpatrick. Everybody's like, you know what? That's really good value. The trade for Geno Smith, that's really good value. All the contracts they gave out, reasonable contracts, not cap breakers. You can debate the money for Demario Davis, but you're paying for leadership, you're paying for culture, you're paying for guidance. You got to offset the stench of your locker room and the lack of leadership and accountability. So this whole free agent class, you're like, a lot of this makes sense where you feel like you have adults in the room all of a sudden. Like you said, it's cap wise where as long as he maximizes his draft capital, this is your rebuild. Like you like these 4 picks, hit on them, you bring it, you build through the draft that way. Then next year you have a ton of picks, 3 first-round picks, $100 million of cap space. You can literally see Muji's vision, how he can rebuild this team. And it's almost like you can separate him from Aaron Glenn. Now, I think this team's been much improved this year. I think Geno Smith makes a big difference. But if things go haywire and they end up 4-13 or 5-12, and we kind of sour on Aaron Glenn, as long as the draft picks make sense, you can make a case Muji should probably stay, dude.
Yeah. No, yeah, it feels like we've gotten to the point now, especially into this offseason, and it felt like this started to happen a little bit towards the end of last season after the deadline, what they got back for Sauce, what they got back for Quinnen, and even some of the other moves that he was making, even going back to before the season, you started to get a feeling of they weren't on even playing ground where it felt like Muji could potentially be here a year or two longer or stay beyond Glenn. And that also goes all the way back to the whole hiring process because Glenn was hired before Muji. So there is a world too where Muji could go to Woody and say, hey, I didn't hire this guy. He brought me in. Look at what I've done. Let me get my own coach in here and run it my way. Obviously, that's more of a conversation next season and however this year plays out. But yeah, there has been a lot more positives from the Darren Muji side of things as opposed to what Glenn's brought to the table. And I think when you look at Muji, it's just the value he's been able to get these players at. And these smaller moves that he's been able to make are really, really impressive. And that is something that you like to see for a rebuilding team. That is something that you like to see out of a team that needs a lot of talent, finding creative ways. It's not just through free agency. It's not just through the draft. It's also through trades. Doing a little bit of everything, trading away Field, getting some value back for him. That's something that is really, really good. To get anything for Fields is a positive. So, yeah, it's definitely shifted. I could see a world where Darren Muji, if let's say the first 4 picks, let's say they stick and pick from 2 through 44, and they get let's say the 2 first-round picks look really good and the 2 second-round picks look promising. They show some promise, and they only win 5 games. But Woody looks at this general manager and says, you know what? His draft picks are panning out. Armand Membu looks good. Mason Taylor takes a year 2 jump. Whoever they draft this year, they fit in. These free agent picks fit in. And you continue to build it the way that he's been building it. I could see a world where he stays here beyond Glenn. And it feels like just from a fan base perspective, Muji is definitely in a higher ranking, I guess, among Jet fans, if that makes sense.
I think it goes deeper than that. He has to do a better job in the later rounds of the draft. The first 2 rounds, everybody expects you to do well, but you got to get that 4th round value, 5th round value. You got to find the quarterback. You got to get this Breece Hall situation resolved. You got to get wide receiver help. You got to get a backup quarterback. So he's still got a ways to go. But yeah, like you can see a path where he can solidify himself as, listen, he's actually a building block for his organization. He's actually a strength where the Jets front office knows exactly what they're doing. They have a vision, and now it's like they're finding players that can actually make a difference here, which a lot like last year was a rough start, man. You had all your Josh Reynolds, Stone Smart, the litany of guys they brought in that didn't work out. And now I think it's where they understand what Aaron Glenn's looking for, especially this year where Aaron Glenn's calling plays. Okay, this is your defense. This is your plays. Tell me what you need. And I have to find creative ways to go about getting these guys because nobody wants to come here. So you found ways to get young players on the rise, different ways like that. You get some wily veterans. But you're creative with the trades. But then the draft is where you got to shine because this is where it's open season, where you get your most bang for your buck, especially in the first 2 rounds where, the first round, especially to be honest with you, get these guys for 5 years. But that's where it is. And I'm like, to me, the one concern I have going into the draft right now on March 16th is the wide receiver position. Same concern I had last year is the same concern this year. It's like, you got to do more, man. You can't, like every year we hear about all like this great draft class, this draft class is loaded. You've got to get a draft. You've got to get wide receivers. You probably need at least 2 here because the last thing you want is a Garrett Wilson injury away from being in deep trouble, or you bring in a young quarterback and they got no weapons. Like we've already been there, done that. So you figured out your defense. Now he's got to find creative ways to figure out his wide receiver problem, and you got to get the backup quarterback, a legit. Maybe it's Andy Dalton, or I don't think it's gonna be Wentz, but maybe it's Andy Dalton, whoever else. But get that backup in here because you want quarterback 1, quarterback 2, and then your young guy because you want them protected.
Yeah. Yeah, Dalton, even Cooper Rush has now started to be thrown out there a little bit amongst Jet fans as a potential backup option, right? We've talked about it a lot, but the 2 veterans, don't put yourself in a situation where you're 1 Geno Smith injury away from throwing whoever your rookie quarterback is out there week 2, week 3, and you're rushing them along and your whole plan blows up in your face. Do what the Giants did, have that safety blanket. Geno, if he goes down, Dalton next man up, and you keep rolling with that. I agree, but and that's the thing, and that's where the Jets are at this point, right? You built the defense through free agency. Now the plan is you've got to get some legitimate pieces on the offensive side of the football through the draft. And I wish they – like, I'd still like to see them potentially go out and sign a receiver. I mean, the names out there, just they're not many needle movers out there. There's not many very good guys out there. But at 16, you've got to be in the conversation if Mekhi Lemon is there, Jordan Tyson, if he's there, if Denzel Boston's there. Like, that has got to be the pick at 16. You've got to get a legitimate number 2 alongside Garrett Wilson, because just like if Geno Smith were to go down, like you mentioned, you're one Garrett Wilson injury away from A.D. Mitchell, Isaiah Williams, those guys. And look, A.D. Mitchell's a solid 3. Isaiah Williams, I think, could be a 4 or 5, but you can't rely on those 2 guys to be your number 1 and 2 if Garrett Wilson were to go down. We saw it last year. Garrett went down and the wide receivers were non-existent. So they've got to hit at the wide receiver on 16. I think you've got to pick a receiver at 16. I don't even necessarily know if waiting at 33 is the move there. I think you're better off just the safe pick. If Mekhi Lemon or Jordan Tyson or one of those guys is there, one of those high-end guys, I think Tate will go earlier. If they're there, you take them and you get your number 2 next to Garrett, and then potentially sign another veteran. You probably use another tight end. Could use some interior offensive line help. There is still about probably at least 3 offensive players. Do they maybe go out and make a trade for Brian Thomas Jr.? There's a few ways to go about it and requiring help next to Garrett.
Yeah, and the Brian Thomas Jr. was one that's everybody keeps talking about. If the Jets can acquire Brian Thomas Jr. trade, do you feel Sadiq is a good potential candidate at 16? I'll say this. I'm an enormous Sadiq fan. I understand he's a tight end. But he is a dynamic playmaker, game-breaking talent. If your top receivers are off the board at 16, I have no problem taking him. Everybody keeps saying that he's probably going to go 15 to the Buccaneers. Dude, he's on the board for me. Even without a Brian Thomas trade, I don't care, man. You find ways like – I understand Mason Taylor's here and he's untapped potential. I want to add as much talent as humanly possible. This kid's got a ton of talent, man. So if your lemons are gone, all this, I have no problem taking him. According to all the reports, the Brian Thomas trade thing is not even on the table, which means to me, nobody's giving them the value they want. They probably want pick 33. They probably want listen, give us your second round pick or we're not doing it. And teams are probably balking, saying we're not going to do that trade. So that's probably something I think maybe after the draft where teams don't get the guy they want. They don't get the wide receiver they want in the draft. Maybe they go back to the Jaguars then and say, hey, are you guys interested in doing a deal now? I think they're going to hold pat now until the draft. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think there's anything to be done now. If anything, I'm right there with you. I think something might get to happen during the draft. Like on draft night, I could see a potential Brian Thomas Jr. trade, but I don't see anything happen now, a few months or a month and a half before. I could see a world where draft night comes around and day 2, the Jets give them 44 and they strike a trade for him. And that's however, maybe the board day 1 falls. If the board doesn't fall the Jets' way, do they then feel, hey, let's go out and get Brian Thomas Jr. and, give up 44 for him? I could see it kind of being one of those situations too. I don't see, just from Jacksonville's perspective, they'd probably be smarter and wait.
Yep, 100%. The other thing too is, Daniel Jeremiah tweeted out, I think it was, my days are all screwed, probably Sunday maybe. He's talking about how this is a very deep interior offensive lineman draft. So I know everybody's like, at 16, we got to get a guard. We got to get a guard. I understand the importance of guard. The Jets did sign Parham, but to me, it's like, dude, playmakers. We got to stop cutting corners here. Get elite pass catchers for not only Geno Smith, for your rookie quarterback. We don't have to me, it's like you're almost overthinking. Like, oh, we got to solidify the offensive line. Yes, it is a priority. There's also other ways to solidify it. I don't want to shortchange a wide receiver position or if it's Sadiq. Not at all, dude. Like my focus is completely different now, especially when that they signed guards. They brought back a couple guys. So I don't think it's as big as a priority as it was maybe a week ago.
No, if they don't make the signing and bring in Dylan Parham, you're looking at guard as a much more pressing need. I still wouldn't have taken a guard at 16 even if they didn't bring in Parham. I think if anything, you maybe take Pregnon at 33 out of Oregon. I could still see them walking away with a guard, but it's not as much of a pressing need as it once was. And you need playmakers. They need pass catchers, like you said. They need guys that can be next to Garrett, and not just this season, but like you mentioned, moving on beyond this year and building out this roster. So then next year, when you're drafting a quarterback, that quarterback can come in and he doesn't he's already coming into a well built out, well oiled offense in terms of you got a receiver, you got some tight end, you got a running back, you got a good offensive line where you're not putting in the quarterback and then building around him. You're just putting the quarterback in almost as kind of the last piece ideally. So I'm with you. I don't think you can't walk away from the first round taking Arvell, Reese, and Vega at 16. That's just I don't agree with that.
So then people are asking about what wide receivers are available in free agency, and the market is not. It's not either. You got what?
It's dry.
Juwan Jennings, Debo Samuel. I think Christian Kirk signed today. You got what? Hollywood Brown, Tyler Lockett. He's 33 years old. There's not a lot out there, man. And I think Tyler Lockett's got ties to Geno Smith, but it's like 33 years old, probably lost a step or two. Debo, kind of same thing. Like these guys, I think more probably want to go to win now teams with a legit quarterback. Not that Geno Smith's not legit, but I think they're probably thinking, I want to make my last run in the playoff spot or something like that. Then kind of help the rebuilding Jets.
Yeah, I agree. The names left are pretty slim. It's slim pickings at this point. I mean, Juwan Jennings is the biggest one left, but you're looking at, like the Hollywood Browns, the Locketts, even like Greg Dortch is still out there. He didn't do a whole lot in Arizona. He's still on the younger end, but the Tim Patricks of the world, who felt like an automatic Jet last year with the connection to Engstrand, but that of course never happened. But it's not great. You're looking at this point, I'd make the argument that A.D. Mitchell's better than a lot of these guys available. You're more so getting a wide receiver 4 at this point in this who's left in free agency. Like you're looking at, let's say you bring in a Hollywood Brown, you're looking at Garrett, rookie, A.D. Mitchell, 3, Hollywood Brown, 4. Like that's where we're at. Juwan Jennings would be a little bit more of a needle mover, but I don't see that happening at this point. No. Brandon Cooks, those guys are, and Cooks played pretty well, but it's not. It's not. And there's nothing they can do that's gonna take them out not having to take a receiver at 16. Nope. It would be one thing. Even a Dobbs, I don't think would have done it, but you can at least understand a little bit more if they would have taken, signed Dobbs, let's say, and then you have Dobbs, A.D. Mitchell, and then maybe you could take a receiver at 33 or 44. But none of these guys are. You're better off taking a Lemon, a Tyson, as opposed to standing pat, signing one of these guys and waiting after day one for a receiver, in my opinion.
All right, so the comment is a guard isn't happening with the first 4 picks. We resigned Newman, Mitchell, and I think a core 4, so probably not drafting a guard, at least with the first 4 picks. I mean, Bubs, what do you think about the line now? You figured Simpson's gone, AVT is gone. AVT made it clear he didn't want to come back, which is cool. Yeah. But they signed Dylan Parham. You re-signed a lot of your own guys. You also had, Tippmann, maybe a new deal dealt with Tippmann, but you got Membu, Tippmann, Myers, Olu, who probably be better. And you got to figure having Frank Reich will make them better. They'll be better coached. Mm-hmm. Having a competent quarterback should make them better. They did a lot with a little last year. They had absolutely no quarterback play whatsoever. You figure Geno helps them, but how do you feel about the offensive line now on March 16th?
Yeah, I still think the offensive line is one of the strengths of this team. And again, I wouldn't be opposed to picking up another guard. Maybe you take somebody on day 3. If they're high enough on somebody on a day 2, maybe you take a swing there. But I think after the Dylan Parham signing, look, you got your 2 bookend tackles. Membu was a beast last year. Olu, like you mentioned, only getting better. They're both only going to get better. Myers was serviceable. Tippmann was better at guard, actually, than he was at center. Him and Membu had a lot of success on that right side. Yep. And Parham, I think, could be close to what Simpson was last year. Simpson didn't have a great year last season. A lot of people kind of swept it under the rug. He wasn't great. He took a lot of penalties. It was a down year as opposed to what he was in 2024. And Parham's still just 26 years old. He'll be 27 in August. Good pass blocker. I know a lot of people look at Vegas last year as he was a part of that offensive line. He was on the better end of that Vegas line. He was probably the best piece. The only good thing about that Vegas offense line, when you just look at the numbers and what he was able to bring, but still on the younger end, he's serviceable as a left guard. Is he your future? Is he, the guy for the next 5-6 years? Probably not. But can you roll that starting 5 and add another guard maybe on day 3 and have him sit and develop behind him and just kind of go that way? I don't think it's bad. I mean, this line was a strength of the team last year. I don't think they got really worse. I mean, AVT didn't even play last season. He's been injury prone. He's barely been out there. They were fine without him. So I think the offensive line is in a pretty good spot. After the start of free agency, we're a little concerned, but ending up with Parham and retaining it's the four. This other guys are all the same from last season. You're running it back essentially. I think that's a good thing too. It's nice to actually have an offensive line that's played together, not talking about 3 to 4 new pieces. So I have no issue with it.
Yeah, I think the Jets offense, as crazy as this sound, is built to compete. Like, you have a good offensive line. You're assuming Brees Hall is going to be here, a healthy Braylon Allen. You got Isaiah Davis. You assume they're going to add playmakers. This offense should be able to compete and score points. I'm not going to say they're scoring 25 points a week, but we have watched such shit offense for the last couple of years where now it's like, all right, this is going to be – they should be a professional team that can get in and out of the huddle. Geno could do his thing, and they'll score points, maximize Garrett Wilson, maximize Mason Taylor, and see what happens. So I think offensively, and this is assuming Frank Reich is competent and can do really good things in terms of play calling. Offensively, I think the Jets are fine. Then you look at defense where it's like they added a lot of pieces to the puzzle. So initially the Jets want to run the ball. They want to stop the run. Last year they couldn't do either. This year they probably can run the ball. Can they stop the run with the moves they've made now? And I think you kind of have a feeling where maybe they can. They got Tavondre Sweat. They've added other pieces. And it's like, okay. And you have Aaron Glenn here now where it's like his defense, he understands the priority of it. They upgraded the safety position. Do you think the Jets' run defense will be much improved?
Yeah, it should be a lot better than it was last year. It won't take much to be better than it was last year. Just the defense in general, that's how bad they were. But look, they added a lot more beef up front. You added Tavondre Sweat. You added David Onyemata. Both those guys really good against the run. Both those guys fit into this 3-4 defense there in the interior. You add that on to already having Harrison Phillips, already having Juwan Briggs, both guys that were some of the lone bright spots, forget just on defense, some of the lone bright spots on this entire team last year, and obviously what was a miserable season. You bring in Joseph Asai, you bring in Kingsley Enagbare. Enagbare is a good, solid run stopper, gap integrity, all those different things we talk about coming off the edge. You go out and get, let's say an Arvell Reese at 2, who is kind of that complete package, pass rusher, good against the run, all that good stuff. I think they should be better against the run. Demario Davis is solid in coverage, good tackler, good against the run as well. They should be improved. And I think just from a schematic standpoint, like Tavondre Sweat is a big body nose tackle on a 3-4 that can clog up running lanes. And, he's not going to pop off the stat sheet. He's not going to be a flashy player, but he's a guy that's going to be crucial to this defense. He's a guy that is going to do a lot of the dirty work. Him, Phillips, Briggs, all those guys. So, yeah, they should be better. They have to be better tackling, too, in the secondary. And look at Minkah Fitzpatrick, guys like that. They've got to be like Brownlee. He was actually one of the lone good tacklers. But as a team, they've got to be better tackling, too. You hope that's something they can improve upon. But, yeah, the moves they made, there's a clear effort. There's a clear focus on bringing in some run stuffers, bringing in guys who are good against the run. Like Clemens was awful against the run. He was awful at everything. But gap integrity, specifically holding his edge, never did that. Kingsley Enagbare, he does that for just on a 1-year contract. You take that. So, yeah, I think they've done a good job in that sense. Yeah,
in terms of the secondary, they go out, they trade for Minkah Fitzpatrick, which is an enormous upgrade. You have Malachi Moore year 2. They added Dane Belton. And then they brought back Andre Cisco, which is interesting because he was terrible last year before he got hurt. I think last year was like 1 year, $10 million. And like Aaron Glenn had it seemed like such an infatuation with him. Like, this guy's a leader. He's a ball hawk. He's all this stuff. We didn't see any of that. But then a part of me was like, you know what? That was probably the Steve Wilks defense where it just was like a square peg, round hole. The fact that they brought him back, first of all, competition is never a bad thing. The more competition, the better. The more ball hawks, the better. The more mentors for Malachi Moore and A.Z. Thomas, fine with me. You have like, Swiss Army knives, fine. But I just had this feeling that Glenn's got a vision for Cisco and he wants to see come to fruition. It wasn't a big contract, so I have no problem bringing it back. Like, the Jets secondary needs a lot of new pieces, and they had high hopes from last year. Maybe it pans out this year. If not, you move on. But I think this is exactly. I just have a feeling this is an Aaron Glenn guy. And he just wants to show that, you know what, there's more to here than we saw last year.
Yeah, that's what it has to be. Otherwise, it just, like you mentioned, it really doesn't make a ton of sense. Kind of a surprise. It is cheap, 1 year, $5.25 million. He obviously had the torn pec last year. Feels like, this is probably a Glenn move that he saw something in him last year, brought him in, and then the Wilks defense didn't work out. You bring him in this year. It's cheap. It's a 1-year contract, assuming you also draft a safety. There's a good chance that he's just a depth piece, that he's just solid veteran depth as opposed to playing in a starting role like he was last year. So, yeah, I don't love the move. I wasn't pounding the table for him to come back, but as a cheap option, as a guy that's a veteran providing some depth, you added Minka Fitzpatrick. You already got, Malachi Moore. You added Dane Belton, who's a ball hawk too, a guy that could play some special teams. I don't think it's bad to have another body in that safety room. That safety room was so bad last year. Add as many bodies as you can. I would still add another safety in the draft and just continue to build up that room from that way.
Yeah, I mean, these are all pieces to the puzzle, man. You got to assume there's gonna be injuries and be all kinds of stuff. And this is Aaron Glenn's vision to make this defense better. Fine by me, man. Like, I'm not even like, at this point, it was so, like you said, they were so bad last year. I'm like, how much worse? How much worse can it get?
Yeah.
Maybe this is a whole new changing of the guard here. Then you look at special teams where, I'm just still surprised Nick Folk is gone. I understand that he said it was the Jets, I think, offered him 1 year. The Falcons offered him 2. The Falcons are indoors, all this other stuff, and more money. So I get it. They pivot to Cade York, who's just like, okay, that's not going to work. So you got to assume they may draft somebody or find somebody else. But kicker to me is definitely a huge issue because the Jets special teams, A, were great last year. And B, if you're going to play a lot of defensive games and run the ball, chances are it's going to come down to the kicker. You want to have a quality one. The last thing you want is this young team trying to scratch and claw, and you have some guy shanking kicks every week. Zerline, 2 years ago. You don't want to see that, man. So hopefully it's a calculated risk. You have faith in Chris Banjo, but I'd like to see something else done with kicker.
Yeah, I would have liked to seen Folk back. And the Cimini article, it sounded like Folk wanted to be back, but the Falcons offered him more, so he took there with the 2-year contract. He's shown no signs of slowing down, would have brought him back. They're like relievers in baseball. Once they lose it, they lose it. But until he loses it, keep running it back. Cade York hasn't kicked in the NFL in a year. Even when he has kicked, he hasn't been very good. I will say this, though. Out of any coach, anybody in this organization that deserves the benefit of the doubt, it would be Chris Banjo. And until proven otherwise, he does deserve the benefit of the doubt that you hope and you should have confidence that he will get this kicker situation right. If you go back to last season, it kind of reminds me, not exactly apples to apples, because I think Folk is much more higher in the fan base than Morstead was. But going back to last year, when they cut Thomas Morstead, people were flipping out over a punter getting cut, and I believe it was June. You think they just, I don't know. It was like people were acting like the world was ending. And then they had a punter competition. Austin McNamara won that job. Handpicked him, and McNamara was one of the best punters in the NFL. They had a historically good special teams unit this season. So if there was one coach on this staff, anybody in this regime to trust, it would be Chris Banjo. Yep. They moved on from Morstead, the veteran, last year. They brought in McNamara. That worked out. You move on from Nick Folk. You hope that you can find your Austin McNamara at kicker this season, and you have to trust that Banjo can do that. And I'm not trying to say that I agree with moving on from Folk, but that's just where I'm at in terms of moving forward past Folk and the possibility of hopefully finding his replacement.
And what's wild is they had Harrison Mevis in camp, and it was like he had the big leg, like, oh, this guy. Then he goes to the Rams, and he was money all year long. Like and like that's the guy you want, the young guy that has that big power that could be here for the next 10 years. But the Jets luck, they weren't all reliable. That kind of blew up in the face. But that's how it goes.
Yeah. Even the Mevis thing, though, the fact that they had him in, they clearly saw something in him, and clearly that translated to the NFL level. And, Folk, it was only a 1-year thing, but Folk was very, very good. It's not like Folk was a disaster and Mevis was really good. That would be the typical Jet thing to happen. But, yeah, hindsight 2020, would they have probably taken Mevis because it would have been multiple years? Definitely. But hopefully you can find your Mevis this year and keep him around this time.
Yeah, and you figure they brought back Nwangwu, I think that's how you say his name. So the terms of returners, you have Isaiah Williams back, you have him back. So you feel comfortable there. Also, with the upgrade in speed and talent that he signed in the offseason, like, say, a Dane Belton, special teams should be just as good, if not better, next year as well. So special teams, you feel okay. Defense is like, all right, work in progress. You got to see what Osai is. Can the Jets generate a pass rush? How they're going to do that? Will the run defense be better? Offense, you're like, all right, we could see a vision. Geno Smith could be a stabilizing force that can just at least get in and out of the huddle and run, just do things. My question for you is this. Very easy question, Bubs. Won't even be controversial at all. Based on what we've seen as of now on March 16th, do the Jets give you the vibe where, you know what, this team should be a competitive team this year? Like, we all went in this offseason like, you know what, we're going to suck. We know we're going to suck 4 or 5 wins, maybe 6, but I'm not really sure. But how they've handled themselves up until now give you a little more confidence. But you know what? The expectation should be 6 wins. Like anything less than that, even which is 6 is still terrible, but it's like based on where we're at, 6 wins kind of like the floor now. Like that's where we should be at based on what they've done so far.
I like a lot of the moves they've done, but for me, it still just falls back. And I've said this a lot. I just still don't trust Glenn, and to me, that's where it kind of falls down for me. I could still see a world where they're a 4 or 5 win football team just because I think the coach just isn't any good. Now, if Glenn improves a little bit, yeah, that's where you can get your 6 to 7 wins. But until then, until I see improvement, I still have my doubts. Now, Muji and the roster that's well coached, yeah, this team can win some games. But with this coach, I still have my doubts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Like I wanted Aaron Glenn fired at the end of last year. I thought he was horrific.
Yeah.
But now it's like if he's focusing on the defense and that's his specialty and they can stop the run, which is huge. I think the problem they may have now is generating a pass rush. I'm not really sure where they're going to get that from, unless maybe that surprises us. But then they can run the ball, control the clock. Geno Smith can do some good things. They should be competitive, dude. Like, and that's like, it's like the bar is set so low. Like we know we're going to suck. We're not talking playoffs, not talking anything else, not challenging the AFC East. But for me, it's like 6 wins shouldn't be too much to ask from this team.
No,
like there is enough here, especially when you're going to be adding 4 picks in the top 44. Like that's all young talent. Just coach them up and just be, be disciplined, be smart. Like, and Frank Reich have a creative plan. And that's, to me, that's kind of where I'm at. And like anything less than 6, Glenn's got to go. And maybe even at 6, he may have to go, but it's got to be upward. You've got to see legitimate competition week in and week out. And like actually a team we should be proud of. Like, all right, they're playing fast, they're playing physical. The other team just had more talent. But other than that, the Jets are in these games. That's what you kind of got to see now.
Yeah, no, they've got to be competitive. There's no excuse not to be competitive after a 3-win season. Winning 6 games, winning 7 games is not very hard. And not all 7-win seasons are created the same. If they go out there and win 7 games, but they're in every single game and they're just losing a few by, some late game stuff, like a late score. Like if they're in every game, but they're just losing them by 3, if that's a 3-point game, 6-point game, 1-score game, as long as you're not getting blown out like they were last year, that's a positive. And that's the thing, like the bar is so low. So it shouldn't be in reality hard for them to achieve what would be, I guess, a successful season from a lot of fans' perspectives, which would be around 6 to 7 wins. If you're in the 4 or 5 win range again, yeah, Glenn can't come back.
No,
we'll see what happens with Muji, but there's no excuses to go out there, overhaul the defense. Glenn's calling plays. He's got his hands in this defense. He's bringing in guys that fit his scheme, and to go out there and win 4 games, that's unacceptable.
Yeah, I mean, and the comment is, we really trusting Geno? To me, I am. Like, I think to me, it's a combination. It's Geno with Frank Reich. I think they realize what Geno's strengths are, what his weaknesses are, and they're smart to realize, run the football, give him easy throws, stretch the field, and see what happens. Like, that should be enough to score your points, take advantage of Garrett Wilson, utilize all of Breece Hall's skills, not just like, oh, he can catch the ball and throw him 1 pass a week. Like, I'm assuming that Frank Reich's actually a very intelligent coach that will do smart things, and Geno can handle that and run the offense. So to me, because other than that, we have nothing else to believe in. Seriously, like, unless we find a good backup in like Andy Dalton, who's it going to be? Like, to me, it's like I'm going to have I'm with Blue JP. I'm going to have a little faith. I'm going to trust Geno and Frank Reich until he prove me otherwise to be competitive. I'm not talking playoffs, but win games, surprise us. It's okay to exceed expectations once in a while. The Jets always let us down. Let this be the year where they actually surprise us. And we're like, hey, you know what? They got to go in the right direction. And to be honest with you, that's what we should want. Because if this team comes out and just say in this fantasy land, they win 7 or 8 games, we may actually have a head coach then. Hey, you know what? Hey, Glenn, after a terrible year, they figured it out. And now they're kind of turned the corner a little bit. We may have something here with the general manager, with the head coach, and then your whole rebuild is kind of expedited a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's the thing. Like, we all want to see this team do well. We all want to see this team win. It'd be great. I'd beg for, where can I sign up? Give me 10 wins or 8 to 9 wins. Like, we all want that. In terms of Geno, I mean, the offense should be competent. It's going to be an upgrade over Fields at the very least. He's better than Justin Fields. I know some people want to crap on Geno and all that stuff, and we've talked a lot about Geno, obviously. You give him another receiver, he can run an offense, he'll take chances, he'll feed it to Garrett. Like, the offense should be improved. It shouldn't. It's not asking much for the offense to improve too. Again, how low the bar is for this team. We were both in the same boat of the available options. Geno was, if you want to put it, best of the worst, however you want to phrase it. He was the best guy that you could have brought in.
Yep.
I still see people crapping on Geno. I still see people, questioning the Geno move. I can guarantee you, if Geno went to Minnesota or Geno went to any other teams, people would be like, "Oh, it's a great move. It's perfect. Geno's going to fit right in there." The fact that it's the Jets, and there's some Jet fans that don't like Geno. There's some people that just don't like Geno to begin with. There's the Lowell Jets. That's why I think it's gotten a lot of bad rap. But you peel it back, Geno is a solid bridge quarterback. He can be a solid bridge quarterback, and that's all you needed to be, is a bridge quarterback. None of these guys are going to be perfect options. So, picking apart Geno's game, you could do that with Kyler. You could do that with Dalton. You could have done it with Carr. You could have done it with Kirk Cousins. Like, all of these guys, you could pick apart their game. That's why they're available.
And he's done two really good interviews too. He's done the one interview with Josina Anderson. He did the one interview with Eric Allen of the Jets. Both all right, dude. Like, the thing is, like, he's matured. He understands what he's getting himself into. He respects Aaron Glenn. He understands working with Frank Reich. So I'm like, all right, worth the shot, dude. It was the best of a lot of bad choices. That's where we're at. And of the bad choices that were actually feasible for the Jets, so they actually wanted to come here, which is a big difference too. Like, a lot of these guys didn't want to come here. So it's like, well, okay, what's the best of the worst? I think we got that. Now you figure out he could do some good things. Let him do it and see what happens. And he's only 35. He's not like he's, 42 with his arm falling off. And, it's like he's still got some talent in his arm. So it's worth the shot.
Yeah.
Blows up in our faces, so be it.
Yeah, and if anything, he's gotten better as he's gotten older. That's when he's turned around his career, is when he got to north of 30. The beginning part of his career was the ugliest part. So people just conveniently rule out that he threw for over 4,000 yards twice in Seattle, had a 10-win season, made a wild card, threw for 30 touchdowns. Like, people just conveniently rule that out after what happened last year in Vegas, without also peeling back what took place in Vegas and the disaster that was Chip Kelly, the offensive line, the lack of weapons. He steps in day one. He's got a better offensive line, and day one, he's got a better receiver in Garrett Wilson. Even without any other upgrades at wide receiver, he's got a better receiver in Garrett Wilson than he played with last year. They traded away Jacoby Myers halfway through the season, and they were rolling Trey Tucker out there. Brock Bowers. Like, Brock Bowers was hurt for a good portion, so it was a disaster. He had Chip Kelly calling plays that they weren't practicing. They weren't on the playbook. So, I mean, and even with that, he still went out there and threw 19 touchdowns and 3,000 yards. If Geno throws for 3,000 yards this year, we'd be ecstatic. Just give us a Josh McCown 2017 season. Forget about, 2015 Fitzpatrick. That's obviously, the top of the bridge quarterback mark, if you're a Jet fan, would to be that 2015 lightning in a bottle season again out of Geno, or whoever the bridge would be. Can you just give us 2017 McCown? If you could do that, I think you're taking that if you're a Jet fan.
All right. So some people believe this, some people don't. We got a guy driving down the road right now. What's up, man?
What's up, Buzz?
How's it going?
You're cruising along right there.
Well, I'm just getting off of work too, man. It's the only time I can catch you guys, so it's either I get home.
What road are you driving? Where are you driving at?
I live in Texas.
Oh, no shit. Nice.
Yeah, so I'm on the highway. I'm on the tollway right now. I'm just coasting. It's on cruise control right now. I'm good.
So what are your thoughts on the Jets, man?
I'm just curious about the trade with Justin Fields. What was the trade? Like, what was the trade about? Like, what did they get, or do they still have to pay his money or whatever? I have no idea. I just heard about it.
Well, I think they ended up saving like $3 million. They got a 6th-round pick in 2027. That's basically what it was.
I mean, that's something. At least they got something out of nothing.
That's more than I thought they would get. We all thought he was just gonna get cut.
Yeah.
The fact they got anything for him, and then it's like a 6th-round pick. You never know, man. It's more pieces to the puzzle at this point.
Absolutely not. And I'm good with the Geno Smith signing too. Like, hey, he can throw the ball. That's all I care about. Like, we haven't had a quarterback that can do that, so.
It's true.
And then where he was in Oakland or Las Vegas, whatever the hell they're calling him now, like, he didn't have nothing there. No offensive line, no players. I mean, Bud said it. Like, dude, they just gave up. Like, I'm not saying he played well because he had a shitload of interceptions, but he didn't have nothing around him neither.
No, then you start losing. You start forcing passes. You get blown out. You start forcing passes. Like it was a comedy of errors there. But
yeah,
yep.
You're trying to make something happen, you know, and shit happens. Either way,
man,
I can't say anything because our quarterback play has been god awful. So anything's better.
It's true, man. What do you think,
It's
Bubs?
funny. No, yeah, I mean, hearing some of the Jet fans speak, it's talking so down on Geno. It's like we've had just great quarterback play the last 15 years.
Yeah, like I hear like they trashing him already. I mean, give the guy a chance. Like we can't get worse. So what are you complaining about? He's just a bridge. We only got him for a year, and if he plays good, hopefully we got him for another year. So our rookie can learn under him. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Geno against the world right now. He's got a chip on his shoulder. So does Aaron Glenn. Like I like rooting for the underdog. Like the underdog is what we've always been with the Jets. Like if Geno turned this around, it'd be a great story. Like we're finally due for a great story. Why not let it be him? Like I don't care. Like I don't care. You know, it's like just fine. Give us a reason to enjoy football again.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I have a good feeling about this. I think he's going to do good with Frank Wright running the offense. Like I think he'll be good. I think that.
Ah, shit, that we lost him. There you go. No, you're good. No, dude, that's the whole thing. It's like there's an opportunity there. Did he take advantage of it? They still need some more help. You got to get better play from Mason Taylor. You got to get another playmaker, maybe two more wide receiver. Like they need help there, and you need a big year from Brees too. So there is a path to have a better year this year. Whether they follow it or not, who knows? But there is a chance of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I said earlier, I don't know if it was earlier today or yesterday. Like that number 16 pick, go after a receiver. Get a receiver. I don't want to go get a receiver in the third and fourth round. I want somebody that can play, man.
Completely agree. Like I'm done being cute. Done like just get the best available pass catcher at 16. That's what I want.
Absolutely. I don't need no project like, oh, he'll learn as he goes. Stuff like, no, I don't need none of that, man. I want an actual receiver. You have the pick, use it.
Yep. Well, they tried to get cute last year with Arian Smith and it blew up in their face. They were smarter than us last year, and he's unplayable at this point. So it's like
there's a lot of talk that they're saying they might go with what's that quarterback's name? Ty Simpson at 16. No, man, don't go.
I can't see
go best player available at 16, man. And if Ty Simpson's there in the second round, okay. If he's not, trade down if you really want him that bad. But I wouldn't go for him at 16. You know? Yeah,
to me, it's like the first two picks are non-quarterback. 33s work interesting. If Simpson's still in that area. If you want to pull the trigger there, okay. I actually like Simpson, but that's where I start thinking about it. 33.
I like him too, but I think of just like you said at 33, and if you really want him that bad, trade down.
Yep.
You know, but like you know how the hype is. It's always right when draft comes, they start hyping up that one quarterback that really didn't exist during the regular season. You know, and everybody's like, oh no, you need to go after him. You need to go after him. I don't think so. That's just you're just reaching at that point for what.
You know, I think the Ty Simpson, everybody's been kind of downplaying because the way his season ended. I think this is the part of year where he's going to start increasing. His value is going to start skyrocketing with his pro day, with his interviews, all the things he's doing. It's going to that hype is going to come back.
And I actually like him as a quarterback. He's
so do I.
Big, he's physical. Like, you know, I like him as a quarterback, but he has to sit back. He has to learn. You can't just throw him out there to the wolves, man.
I completely. Bubs, are you a Ty Simpson guy or no?
I mean, if they want to take him at 33, I'm fine with it. If he drops, or maybe they move back into the first, but I'm not taking him at 16. They just need to build out the rest of this roster at 16. They need to get another receiver. They need to just, number 2, draft a defensive end, most likely, either a Reese or a Bailey. Get your elite pass rusher coming off the edge. Finish out that room after bringing in Asai and Enoch Bari. Finish off the defense line as a whole. Get a guy that fits in a 3-4, and then 16. You get your Lemon, you get your Tyson. I just don't.
Exactly. That's
I don't
a
know.
smart way to go about it. I feel.
Yeah.
But who would you pick at 2? Would you pick Reese or Bailey? Like I like both, but I'd probably go with Reese.
Me too.
Yeah, I like Reese a bit more than Bailey. Reese is just a little bit more complete. Bailey's more of a pure pass rusher. He's not very good against the run. Reese is a more complete player, good against the run and a good pass rusher.
He just seems more developed, I guess, if you want to put it that way,
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Bailey's ceiling is extremely high as a pass rusher, but him against the run in the NFL, there's concerns, and you already kind of have that type of player in Will McDonald. Like you need guys that are good against the run too.
Every pass rusher that they said that comes out of college, that he's just a natural pass rush he can get to the quarterback, they never really work out year one. It's always
Yeah.
takes time for them to develop. Like,
Yeah.
in college, it's a different story. When you make it to the NFL, it's a whole nother level.
Yep. No, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Best, thanks for
Yeah.
calling, man. We appreciate it. Be careful driving.
Like, yeah, absolutely, guys. You have a good one.
Maybe nervous as shit talking to him, dude. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God, just please don't wreck the car.
Yeah. They need a legitimate 3-down guy at 2. Like Bailey's more of your Will McDonald role coming on the passing downs. And I like Bailey. If they get Bailey, I'm not going to be upset. The guy is a beast. He's an athletic freak too. But I just think Reese is more complete.
All right, so the question is, Dan from New York, how much of the blame do you put on the inherited roster having issues versus Glenn's inability as a head coach? That's a really good question. I think Glenn was just terrible last year. I think the coaching staff was awful. Glenn, I think Engstrand was in over his head. I think Wilkes was in over his head because you literally didn't see any player get better. While the Jets, they had talent and they all regressed. There was literally nobody emerging. Like you saw more out of Harrison Phillips and you saw out of half the guys that had already been here. So now you had to wipe out Jermaine Johnson, Quincy Williams. They should have traded away. They didn't. I think the staff last year just sucked, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
so the roster was tainted. It was definitely imperfect roster. It had a lousy culture and a lousy attitude and everything else. But I think Glenn did him no favors. I think he was just terrible at his job.
Yeah, Glenn was a disaster. Wilkes was a disaster. The coaching staff as a whole was a disaster. The offensive staff too. Engstrand was in over his head. I think a lot of it was coaching because a lot of these guys, they were good players prior to this regime coming in. This regime came in and they all got worse. Sherwood got worse. They gave Sherwood that big contract, so they obviously believed in him. They wouldn't have given them that contract if they didn't believe in him. They gave him the contract. He got worse. Quincy Williams got worse. Jermaine Johnson got worse. All these guys got worse. So, yeah, I mean, it was all coaching. And not even just from the roster standpoint, too. Just the in-game decisions from Glenn. There was a lot of head-scratching moments there from clock management to timeouts to everything. I mean, not knowing Nick Folk's field goal range. There was so many issues with the coaching staff last year that they've got to get cleaned up this year. But, yeah, I mean, guys that they were – and all they talked about, too, even the free agent signings, all they talked about was, these guys weren't coached properly. We're going to coach them up right. And they all got worse. Everybody got worse. Even the free agent signings, they got worse. So, you hope Cisco can improve. But he was an example last year of had a down year in Jacksonville. This regime, this head coach, blamed a lot of that on Jacksonville and the coaching change in the defensive coordinator and that defense as a whole having a down year that, we get them into our scheme, it'll work out. And that didn't work out. Now you hope Cisco and Glenn's scheme can actually work because it clearly didn't in Wilkes. But yeah, it was coaching all over.
I mean, the only surprise was Brandon Stevens. That was a guy that we all kind of discounted. He played very well, which is like, okay, that's that was a good play. Yeah, but I think again, the roster was imperfect. There was a lot of flaws in the roster, but this coaching staff did no favors at all. They were just completely incompetent, in over the heads. And when the sink started shipping, they sunk with it. They couldn't turn it around. They just got consumed by it, which is bad. So. Yeah. But again, this year they got a chance to change it where you have a guy on offense running the offense. Glenn's fingerprints are not on it anymore. He's focusing on the defense and game management. That should be his area of expertise. He should be specialized at that. And that's if they can't handle this, then they're all gonna get fired. Simple as that.
Yeah, they're on the hot seat. He won 3 games. You got to be better than you were a year ago. And I would say to the opposite of some of those players that we talked about that got worse. For every Stone Smart Josh Reynolds, they did find Harrison Phillips. They did find Juwan Briggs. So there were some of those positives where they brought in some guys that did work and clearly fit what this coaching staff wanted. But there was still more than bad. And now you have a full offseason with more cap space, no excuses. You've completely revamped this defense. You brought in tons of new faces. You brought in a lot of new leadership. You brought in a lot of guys that you feel would fit what Glenn wants as a defensive play caller. There's no excuses. You get your head coach of the offense, what Glenn talked about wanting. You get that in Frank Reich. So he doesn't have to focus on the offense. Frank Reich's a guy you can trust, been there, done that. He can run the offense his way. Yeah, I mean, they got to win games. You got to be improved. You got to be competitive.
Oof. Lauren says the Jets win 9 games. I'll say that Glenn and Mooj are doing the right thing. Oof, 9's a lot. I'd say 7, 8. I'd be happy. But it's sad that our expectations are so low, but it's like that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, if they're a 7-8 competitive team, if they're in games in the losses in a 7-8 season, I'll feel good about it. anything less than 6 to me is just 6. Honestly, 6 is probably not even enough for me. They'd have to really be like in the losses, and if they went 6-11, like I think you got to be 7-8.
I mean, but the thing is, like, we've watched enough bad football. You can tell. You can tell when a team is well coached. You could tell when a team is prepared. You could tell when they're playing physical. Like, you can see this. It's tangible. You can see it week in and week out. And we know how bad teams are because we've seen a shitty team for what? How many years now? We've seen them underachieving teams. We've seen bad teams. So the things we're looking for, we'll know it when we see it. So it's kind of like, all right, I know the schedule's tough. Don't care about that. Like, compete week in and week out. Show improvement, show progress. Find building blocks, identify your culture, identify your face of your franchise. All these things had to happen, man. We're like, all right, listen, we know what Aaron Glenn's play like a Jet is. We know exactly what it is now. He wants fast, physical. Like, are they disciplined? All of these things happen to all translate into wins. But you can see it all. You'll know when you have a decent team or not. You'll just be able to tell.
Yeah, and I know the schedule on paper looks tough, but you never know with just how games go. I mean, when the schedule gets released, we're going to be talking about, week 15 through 17 looks easy. Yeah. Week 15 through 70, guys get hurt, injuries happen. There's always the easy stretch in the schedule ends up turning into the hard stretch because you always get those surprising teams. So I don't always like to look into the schedule very much, at least this time of year. When you get closer to the season, fine, you have to just to kind of get an idea, but I'm not one these schedules, you never know. I mean, I remember just going back 2 years ago, the Rodgers season. We looked at the beginning of the season and said, they got games against Denver. They got games against Minnesota, all these easy wins. We faced Sam Darnold, Bo Nix, and we lost those games. It was like, Arizona, easy win. We got blown out. The Colts, easy win. We lost that game. Like there was a lot of games I remember us looking at, these teams are not very good. We're going to beat them. Even going back to like 2022, I think it was after they got off to 7-4, the late season schedule, we looked at it and was like, it's going to be easy. We got the Jaguars, we got the Lions. And then the Jaguars were improved. The Lions were improved that year. They ended up Seattle that was the Geno year. They ended up beating us in Seattle. So you never know with the schedule. Like we'll look at week 13 and say, that's an easy game. And then week 13 comes around and a team surprises us. So, but I mean, like you said, a good, well-coached team. You can see clear improvement in Glenn. It's not going to be hard to tell.
It'd also be nice to see, like it seemed like this is going to sound really messed up. I'll explain myself though. It seemed like last year the Jets were at a complete disadvantage on the sideline. Like they were being thoroughly outcoached on both sides of the ball. Like they were just like they're minus special teams. This year, it'd be nice to see a team like, wow, this is a really well-coached team. Like, wow, they're taking advantage of something here. Like, wow, like they're actually like they actually can outcoach another staff. We didn't see that last year. Yeah. That's progress. Like, hey, Glenn's defensive game plan really caused problems for the opponent. Frank Reich took advantage of the weakness at linebacker. Like, how many times last year we were like, use Breece Hall at the backfield, use Mason Taylor in the middle. They would never do either one of those things. If they start doing that where the game plans actually make sense, and you're like, all right, now we have adults on the sideline that actually know what the hell they're doing and can actually compete with the mid-tier coaches in the NFL, that's progress as well. Like, our standards are so low, but this is kind of how we got to look at it at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's this little thing, small details, like better clock management. Go out there and have a, good, like score on the first drive, good, execute the scripted plays. This team never does that. Like have a couple games where they actually have a coaching advantage. Not many times you can count on one hand, if any. The games and probably during this playoff drive where the Jets actually had a coaching advantage. It's not many. Certainly never last year. Especially the games where they faced up against really good coaches, really good offensive coordinators. They got destroyed. They were completely outmatched. Now, you want to put that on the plate of Wilks defensively, fine. So now Glenn's got to prove that, okay, I'm going to run my scheme and it's going to be successful.
But his time management was a joke too. He couldn't explain his time management last year. Dude, I could have. I don't know how many beers in I was in some of these games, hammered off my ass.
Yeah.
Like, why are you calling a timeout here? Why are you calling this? Like you're like this is football 101. Basic. He didn't know how to even know when to handle a Hail Mary for Christ's sake. And then he said the week before, you know what? If I'm in the situation again, I'll do a Hail Mary. He still didn't do it.
It was and that's the problem is that was the concern too with Glenn. And that was the whole thing with the Jets last year as a whole was nobody said they were winning 10 games. Nobody said they were making the playoffs. But all we asked for out of the Jets last season was what you saw week 1 would be better than what you saw in week 18. It was the complete opposite. They got worse. The first 3 quarters was the peak of their season. That Xavier Gibson fumble season ended right then and there. Everything else after that was just downhill. But yeah, and that's a good point you make, is that's what's so concerning about Glenn going into this year, is he actually got worse as the year went on. Yep. Like the Denver game, he didn't learn from his mistake. That next week in Carolina before the half, he had the exact same opportunity, and he was they were conservative again. And he couldn't talk himself out of a paper bag at that point. He didn't know where Nick Folk's field goal range was. Then he had the stupid answer about, with the garbage time, no, that's just when Fields finds his rhythm. It's like anybody with a brain knows that the Jets were garbage time merchants last year. It's not rocket science.
Their run defense in the fourth quarter when they're getting blown out by 30.
Yeah, they were down by 30 against Jacksonville, and he said how, our identity was on the tape in the fourth quarter.
But see, and this is
they let up 40.
To Lauren's point, like from day one with Aaron Glenn, he always acted like he knew better than us. He knew everything. Trust him. Like Justin Fields, like everything he got, it was like, listen, I know better than you do. You don't know what you're talking about. I know what I'm doing. Until it saw him blow up in his face week in and week out. And then he started to melt himself in the press conferences as the season went out, where like you could see he was a shell of himself. Like he lost that fire, he lost that snarkiness, because like he was a beaten man. Like everything you said is wrong. Your team is falling apart. You're the worst team in football now, and you have no answers. All you have is excuses. So now the hope is in the offseason, he self-evaluates himself, said, listen, this approach clearly failed. I've got to become a much different coach with a different approach, and I've got to study time management. I got to figure out game management. All this stuff is on him, where it can't happen again this year. And I hope he did do that, but his arrogance last year was a big part of his demise.
Yeah, the arrogance, the way he handled the media too was a disaster, and then he was backtracking all the time from where he was. I didn't say that, all that stuff of we're building for a team that is going to make Jets fans proud. I never said that was the goal this season. Yeah, he's very arrogant. That was evident from day one. He came in. Day one, it was all we're the Jets, this and that. Coaching. Fields never been coached properly. All this nonsense. So
Will McDonald wasn't coached properly.
Yeah. Will McDonald wasn't coached properly. Penalties. It was a disaster.
Removing the dumb penalties, which we saw every week.
Yep. Yeah. Still saw the dumb penalties. It was worse. It was worse than it was 2024. They somehow got worse.
No, he's got a lot to build off of. He's got a lot to learn from, and he's got not a lot of time to show it. He's got to show it this year. He'll be gone.
No.
So, but he's got, again, I think Frank Reich helps. I think Steve Wilkes didn't help, and this is it. We'll see what happens. So,
yeah.
What's up, man? How you doing? Is he not there?
Is he frozen?
I guess so. All right. Okay. Well, we tried. So
looks like he was just moved.
We just did an hour. Is anything else you want to cover, man?
I'll say this about Saleh, because I just saw this in the comments. Saleh guys all thought they were better than they were, which, yeah, I know a lot of people talk about the Saleh mope, which, look, I understand that. The thing I would say about the Saleh mope, and the thing I would say about the whole, that excuse to me is this year kind of ends, because now they've rebuilt this roster a pretty good chunk, moving on from the Saleh guys. Like Jermaine's gone, Sauce is gone. Quinn wasn't brought in from Saleh, but he's gone too, as a guy that thrived under Saleh, I should say, had his best years under Saleh. So the point I'm trying to make is that's just another reason to not. That's just another non-excuse for Glenn anymore. That was used a lot as an excuse last year for Glenn, was it's all the Saleh mope, all this stuff. And I understand they still have Breece, and he still kind of, I guess, falls under that Saleh mope label. But defensively, Demario Davis, Harrison Phillips, Juwan Briggs, Tavondre Sweat, Joseph Asai, Kingsley Enagbare, Minka Fitzpatrick, Malachi Moore, even Cisco, Dane Bellin, A.Z. Thomas, Jarvis Brownlee, Brandon Stevens. These are all 10 guys. So it just gets to a point now, because I've seen it a lot this all. And I don't disagree with that comment, but it's just they got to win football games. Glenn's got to improve, because I saw a lot of excuses last year. It's the Saleh mope. Glenn's got to remove the Saleh mope. Okay, fine. Well, this offseason, they completely revamped this defense. In theory, the Saleh mope should be gone, because they brought in guys that have no connection to Robert Saleh.
They wiped out the entire roster. Like literally
Yeah,
all of
exactly.
it. Sauce, Quinnen, Jermaine Johnson, Quincy
Yeah.
Williams, like all these guys are gone. Like this is like the culture change. Now I kind of agree with this. The culture change starts by getting rid of all the malcontents. Guys that don't want to
Yeah.
be here and don't want to compete, you've got to go. Don't care about your contract, don't care about your name, you've got to go. And they did that. Okay, fine. What'd you replace them with? Character guys, high energy guys, high work ethic guys. Fine. That should translate into a whole different locker room now. So the solemn ope is gone. The same old Jets, because a lot of these guys don't know same old Jets. Mario Davis does, but like, you know what I mean? They don't know it. So now it's like, this is your team to mold your culture and your identity. Show us what you got. Because now you can't blame Sal, you can't blame Douglas. You've wiped out, you've had a year to wipe out everybody, and you've done that successfully. So these are your guys. Like you said, the defense is your guys.
Yeah.
This is your quarterback. This is your offensive line. This is your play caller. There is no more, you can't, well, we inherited this. No, you don't have 2 years to wipe out, you had a year to clean it up, and now you bounce back from it.
It doesn't take 10 years to rebuild. It just doesn't. And they, and that's the thing. If they win 5 games this year, there's no bending or there's no excuse for winning 8 games in 2 years. I mean, even 6 wins, that's 9 games. Winning single-digit games in 2 years is an embarrassment.
Yep.
So there's no excuses. They brought in their guy. He's calling plays too. Glenn's calling his plays. So there's no excuse of, Wilkes is running his defense. I'm not getting to run my defense. No, this is your defense. You got your hands on it. You're bringing in your guys. There's no excuses. There shouldn't have been any excuses last year either, to be honest.
And this is
when you look
is
at all
a fair-
these other coaches have success in year one.
This is a fair point, though. Breece Hall could be the final remaining person that has that kind of malcontent or that kind of attitude where he seems like he wants out. He's kind of been open about it. He wanted to change the scenery, but he's still kind of like, quote unquote, stuck here. He's also making $14 million, though. And I think a lot of people believe if he finally gets his money, he gets his 3 years, $36 million, he'll maybe be happy and change his tune. That remains to be seen. I still kind of think that Breece will get his contract with the Jets, and by the trade deadline this year, he's going to be gone. I just don't think it's going to be a long-term thing on him, but I've been wrong a million times before. I just kind of think they'll get him. They'll make him like same thing with Sauce and Quinnen. They got the deal done. Okay, now you got paid. How does this work out? I just don't think it's not going to work out. I think he's going to be gone. But what do you think about Breece?
Yeah, I think they'll get an extension done, I believe. There's actually a report came out a couple of days ago. I forget where it was from, but that they're going to start working on that again. It sounds like something will get done. Yeah, I could see a world where if they get off to a really bad start, I mean, geez, if they're 0-7 again at the deadline and the wheels are off and Glenn's fired and the team's a train wreck, where they set up the contract similar to Sauce where they can offload it a couple months later, I could see a world where that happens, or where they trade him next offseason or at the deadline of 27. It's very much really game by game, deadline to offseason by deadline to offseason type of thing with Breece, where it's very much his future is unknown. If he signs a contract, I agree. I don't think that necessarily guarantees him that he's here through 2026. But I mean, I think he's a guy that wants his money and shut up. But yeah, even if he gets his money, he might shut up. But then if they're 0-7, that's where he might start barking again. So you might get the contract done. He might shut up until week 1. And then if they start losing, and that's another reason why too, it's just so important for this team to get off to a fast start. Can you be 3-3? Can you be 4-4? Can you even be 2-4, 3-5? Like, don't put yourself in a situation where you're 1-6, you know?
Can you be 2-4? They could be 2-4, man. They don't have any problems.
At the very least. It's like you can't start 1-6, 1-7, 1-8. Once the first 2 weeks are huge because we saw last year. It's going to be the same old Jets are going to creep right in with this team. Once that Xavier Gibson fumble, I honestly feel like that was the end. But
that showed a lack of leadership on and off the field.
Yeah,
the way the team fell apart. Like, you got to hope like Demario Davis, Minkah Fitzpatrick, guys like that can change that from happening. Like, you got to have like a whole different. You got to be able to handle adversity in the NFL anyway. This Jets team's like, oh, here we go again. We know this coach can't handle it, and they all mailed it in.
Yeah, and the coach has to be able to handle it too this year because he didn't do a good job of it last year.
He did a terrible job last year. All right, let's try him one more time.
Hey guys, hope you can hear me now. Sorry, my machine crashed.
Oh, that's unacceptable. We're trying to be positive things here.
Oh, actually, Google crashed, but anyhow.
How you doing, man?
Don't ask me why. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I listening to your chat, everything you're saying, I obviously agree with. The one thing I'm not sure of is how we even determine success this year, because in terms of wins, it's going to be, it looks like a tough schedule. You know, with playing the NFC North and the AFC West, that's pretty tough. It's going to depend on what the first games are, who they're playing.
I don't care about the schedule, to be honest with you. I don't care.
I just want to see him be competitive. I mean, the thing is, though, that's not going to save Glenn's job, and it shouldn't, because
but we can see like I'm not okay. I'm not being a dick, but it's just like I don't want to hear excuses for like, well, we played too many good teams. Then be a good team. Find ways to compete. Like maximize. If they lose 31-28 in a really competitive game, like all right, and you're seeing the defense get better week in, week out, and the offense is actually doing good things. All right, if you're losing to a better team, that's fine. But I'm not going to go in the season like, well, everybody's better than us. We're going to suck. I'm not. I'm
you
not
can't do that. I mean, you got to go in there and say every game's got to be at least somewhat winnable, even if
you're not getting blown out in the first quarter. That's progress.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, the thing against, people say it's going to be better than last year. Well, you know what? I can't think of too many years that were worse than last year.
No.
And that even includes Kotite, the 1-15. I'm sorry. It was just that bad. It was unwatchable. It was miserable. It was misery. But like, boy, somebody, well, it's another story. Looking at this, and again, some of the points about Glenn was, and my problem with him has been that he is arrogant, that's a really great comment, because he wasn't willing to learn. He wasn't listening. He thought he had everything. And every time we heard about the bloody goddamn Detroit Lions and how how that was the magic formula, that turned me off every week, because that's a stupid way to do things. Every team is different. Every situation is different. And a lot of people, I've been getting into some online comment fights with people about, Muji and Glenn, why people are up on Muji and down on Glenn. Well, it's because last year, I think the early personnel decisions were heavily Glenn, and a lot of them stank.
Yep.
They say, well, Fields, there's no quarterbacks out there. I can name about 6 quarterbacks that they're not great, but that we could have had last year, and we didn't. So it's like there's all these decisions and stuff, but in the games themselves, it was the fact that they didn't learn. They didn't get better. They made stupid game time decisions. No, you're right, not knowing Nick Folks' field goal distance. I'm sure if he has Banjo would tell him, the guy can hit a 60-yarder.
But he couldn't even explain time management decision with 4 minutes left, 3 minutes left. The other thing, and that's something he supposedly studies. Like his situational awareness was horseshit. And you're watching it like, dude, you're sitting there drinking beers, hanging out. I'm like, all right, you're gonna call it like, wait, what? You called what here? Like, there's no way you call like that's
some of those calls were just inexplicable. Awful. They were calls. I mean, I would never want to call a professional football game, because I don't have the skill or talent to do it. I'm not a coach. I'm a fan. But you know what? I look at some of those things. I'm saying even I would know not to do that.
Yep.
And it's one thing to be aggressive. It's one thing to go on 4th down. I agree. I hate conservative coaches. I hate coaches like Todd Bowles. I hate them like the plague.
Well, but to your point, though, real quick with this, it made it worse because he talked the talk when he first got here. We're the Jets. We're built for this shit. We're going to be fast. We're going to be physical. We're going to be aggressive. You say all that, and then you're the opposite with everything you do. Like your actions didn't match your words, and the players see right through it. And that's why the players check out. Like, oh, this guy's a fraud. Like, we know this. We saw Saleh and his used car salesman nonsense, and that's what Glenn became too.
Well, like I said, I think the thing about that is, and hopefully you learn from it. I don't know. But you can't say, the thing is, you can't say one thing and do another. That is the worst thing you can do. By the way, in life, that's true too. It's true if you ever have kids, you raise kids like that, it's awful. You'd never do as I say, not as I do. They pick up what you're saying, right? Yep. And it's true with players. It really is, and what coaches do. And I pointed out to somebody, I said, well, Glenn needed his players, he needed whatever. Glenn, at the beginning of the season, we're not going to tell players to adopt to the scheme. We're going to adopt the scheme to the players. And towards the end of the season, it's, we got to get our guys in here because they don't fit the scheme. Well, what is it? Which is it? Either you can adopt or not. And ultimately, last year, I pinned it on Glenn because you know what? Muji didn't do the coaching. That was Glenn. He hired those coaches. Yeah. Muji isn't there on the sidelines watching these coaches and saying, what the hell are you doing? Did Glenn ever take coaches in a room and take Steve Wilkes in a room and say, look, players are complaining, you're not listening to him, listen to him, you fucker, fire him. He didn't do it. And, the team was not that bad last year. Saleh's team, the stuff that they were left was not garbage. Now, did it fit their scheme? No, but I don't think anything fit Wilkes' scheme. I've never seen a scheme that was so messed up, hybridized that it made no sense. It was trying to be, at times it was trying to be a zone defense. The other time it was trying to be man. You can't, it was schizophrenic and the players couldn't adapt to it.
No,
What I'm going to talk about, I just want to talk a little bit about free agency. I won't stay on too long tonight. But the thing I'm very happy about what I'm seeing is he's building a base out there. What Muji has done, and I'm sure Glenn's involved with this. Don't get people saying, "Oh, it's not just Muji." No, it's not. But they're building a base. They're getting solid players out there. They're getting good, solid players that know how to play, that they know what they're doing, and they're building that. They're not going for the flash. We had too many guys like McCagnon and Douglas that would go for the flash and they didn't fit.
Yep.
They're building it, and now you can do that. They're not going to make any big splash moves, I think, in free agency anymore, but they filled a lot of needs in free agency. People are upset about the receiver. I don't know whether or not I'm worried about that because you can do that in the draft. If you draft at 16 and you can't find a good receiver, wide receiver is one of the few positions in football that readily adapts to the pro game.
Then why can't we find one for the last 5 years?
Because look where they drafted. And that's the thing. You look at who they were drafting, right? They drafted in the 4th round. They drafted deeper. And these were guys that people looked and said, what the hell? There was better out there.
Yep.
They were not drafting the guys that had already proven themselves at a high level. And wide receiver has probably the easiest transition to the pro game because the play calling and the passes, it's not that they don't have to worry about the complex schemes, most of them. Yeah, they got to learn. If they already know how to route run in college, they're going to do a pretty good job of that in the pros. It's not.
But honestly, I don't think the Jets put the proper premium on wide receivers. Though we
They
talked
don't.
about it, but but you have what the Elijah Moore is supposed to be a second coming. Oh, this guy's great. All these different receivers, and then it's like Aaron Smith last year. Oh, you guys don't know what we know. That blew up in their face. Like, get the top level prospects now. Like, I understand the free agent guys not want to come here because nobody wants to come play with the Jets and Geno Smith. But in the draft, it's like pick the best guys out there, bring them here, and then that's how you build for your young quarterback.
You know who your good receivers are because of the teams that generally have good quarterbacks. So you know that they can play. You can say there might be bargains out there in the 4th round where they played with a poor quarterback in college, but guess what? You don't want to take a chance on that. That's what they did with Stephen Hill.
Yep.
They drafted him out of bloody Georgia Tech who doesn't throw. And they said, well, maybe he'll be another Calvin Johnson. He wasn't.
Nope.
So
Stephen Hill, right?
Stephen Hill. Yeah, he was. He was supposed to be another Calvin Johnson. He was fast as hell. He ran a 4.3 something.
Just
40.
couldn't catch.
He
What a
couldn't
disaster.
catch. And he was.
You know what the
never
funny
used
thing
to-
about Stephen Hill was? He was like 6'4" or whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
And the ball would be high. He would still jump up. Like, why are you jumping? The ball was right there, and he would jump and like make it worse for himself. It was.
Yeah.
It was the most ridiculous thing.
He didn't have it, but overall, I think that's what I'm seeing in the draft. What I want to see is what they do. I mean, they'll probably go defense at 2, which is fine. I'm just hoping they don't draft a quarterback in the 1st round
They won't.
because I don't want Woody anywhere near it. He will if we do it. He's going to want to start him, and he can't do it. Not with this team.
Good one.
And I think that they have to. I think they have to. I think they can do it. The other thing key is going to be with Muji. Can he do the same kind of bargain hunting he did with free agents, which is basically, can he get value out of the 4th, 3rd, even 3rd round? Because they even did well there.
They don't have a
4th
third round pick.
5th round.
They don't have a 3rd round
Yeah.
pick.
Well, whatever. You know what I'm saying? The deeper
But they got to
round.
hit 4th, 5th, and 6th round. They got to get
Or
Or
better.
maybe
value.
they'll trade up
Yeah.
into the 3rd round. I don't know. But they're to identify the deeper talent, they've got to do it because that's where you pick up a lot of your, depth players. You're not going to pick up a number 1 wide receiver in that round unless you get really, really lucky. It's not going to happen. But you can pick up depth players. You can pick up more receivers. You can pick up backup guards. You can pick up a lot of things down there. And I think that's where it's going to be.
Yep.
This year, in terms of the team, looking at it, it's decent. It's not going to be anybody that's expecting like a playoff is an idiot. I'm sorry. It's just beyond the pale. But can you expect a winning season if they're coached right? If they play tough defense, they hold the other team to points. With this offense, they can score.
Disaster.
They can
No,
score.
that's they should be fun to watch. Thanks for calling, man. We appreciate
You got
it.
it.
Later, dude. Now, you know what the best part of this
Gosh.
chat is? Like, we get so easily sidetracked. So now we're gonna go over all the failures over the Jets over the years. You got Denzel Mims, Devin Smith,
All these
Elijah
mid-round receiver misses.
Stephen Will.
We're just at this point we're labeling off the Idzik 12 because what
waiting
we
for
had
the
Jason Morrow mentioned.
The Ardarius Stewart and was it Chad Hansen? Oh,
Yeah,
Jason
Yeah,
Morrow's a good
the
player.
2018 against the Bears, they had that graphic up on the screen. It was like healthy receivers like Rashard Matthews, I think, was up there. I have it saved to my camera roll. And then the
Actually-
12, remember, I think they had what was that? Was Jalen Saunders and Shaq Evans, I think.
Yeah,
Receivers they took.
Jalen Saunders, Shaq Evans.
Yeah, the two stiffs in the 4th round.
Oh,
Calvin Pryor. What a disaster.
I was at a wedding when they traded for Doug Jolly. I was like, what? They did what? Then that's when they took who the hell? They took Mike Nugent in round 2, right? Wasn't it the kicker from Ohio State in round 2?
Yes. Yeah. Mike Nugent.
I was like,
Yeah, that
what?
was that was 2005, 2006, right?
Yeah, it goes back. I remember
I think.
I was at a wedding for
Yeah,
all
the
that.
Nugent days.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they took
Mike Nugent.
a kicker. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jason Morrow was. I actually liked that pick. I actually embraced that one, and that one blew up my face. Oh,
Taj Boyd. Oh, disaster.
you got what? Dude, what was the other? We're going down the path now, man. Woof.
There's just so many stiffs over the years.
Even D. Milner was bad. That didn't work out. Calvin Pryor, the hitman, was it the
Yeah,
Louisville
yeah.
Slugger, right?
Yeah, Calvin Pryor was a disgrace.
Darren Lee. Well, Darren Lee's even worse. Darren Lee's just a whole other.
Nah, forget about Darren Lee now. And Josiah Polite.
From Florida, the pass rusher from Florida.
Yeah. They picked him in I believe that was a 3rd round. They cut him before the season. How do you do that? They took him in the 3rd round. He was cut before the season. Oh, Trayvon Wesco.
Oh my god, I actually like Trayvon
brother.
Wesco.
Bless Austin actually wasn't bad. He was like decent.
Yeah, well, he was like a
For,
6th round pick, wasn't he?
Yeah,
from
like he
Rutgers,
wasn't
from
bad
Rutgers.
for. Yeah, and I think that same draft was Blake Cashman. He got hurt rolling out of bed. That guy.
And then meanwhile, Blake Cashman had a really good career. He was like a Pro Bowl
Yeah.
linebacker at some point.
Yeah, Perry Nickerson. Oh, he stunk. I got his autograph at training camp once. My football lost value when he signed it. That guy was a disgrace. Perry Nickerson. Some of these corners that they've had, they would Buster Screen. Just awful.
Oh,
The guy could not. The amount of penalty every time you look, Buster Screen pass interference. He's another one. I think he's in jail now too.
You're gonna laugh at this.
Buster Screen, what a disgrace! Oh my god, they were like Buster Screen, Daryl Roberts. Oh, just disgusting. Chad Hansen, Elijah McGuire. Oh, there it is. Oh my god. Signed Buster Screen jersey. I have a signed. When Tyson comes back, I have to tell him. I have a signed football from Kelechi Osemele. Remember him?
I do.
Him and Gaze. It was like the injury problem he had or whatever. Buster Screen jersey. That's a good one.
A signed Buster Screen jersey. I actually met him I went to the game in Dallas, and I had his jersey. I'm like, yo, he came running up. He's super cool. He signed it. Him and Lorenzo Malden. I had a Malden jersey. He signed it.
Yeah.
Malden was the back injury zone. Malden actually turned his life around. He played really good in the Canadian Football League. He made all kinds of defensive player of the year and stuff. I have a closet full of bad jerseys right there.
Oh yeah, I'm right there with you. I got a bunch. I got my jerseys. I got the Jamal Adams jersey sitting in the closet. I got the Darnold still sitting in there. I got the Zach Wilson T-shirt, Le'Veon Bell T-shirt. It's just a bunch of junk. I should probably just burn them. Some of them.
It's funny because you mentioned Nathan
Shepard. Yeah, remember Sharon Peak? He was another one. Sharon Peak.
We were trying to have an encouraging show here. Now we're going Kyle Wilson, the guy he's always in the
Trenton Cannon.
I like
Fatukasi was pretty good.
Fatukasi was good.
Yeah. Fatukasi was good. Another one they probably shouldn't have.
Yep, Le'Veon Bell, that didn't work out here.
Oh, that was a disgrace. Tremaine Johnson.
Oh, the bad contract with him. Why?
Ugh.
What happened to Pierre Desir?
Pierre Desir. Remember the Pierre Desir game? The COVID, the 2020 against the Browns. That game, they're so stupid. That was the game that Becton was, I believe Becton was hurt. They activated. They put him on the roster, and he was like, he didn't play. They were down a man.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that was the game. Darnold had that rushing touchdown. Pierre Desir had like a weird game. He got burnt by Judy like twice, and he had like
He
2
got like 3
interceptions.
interceptions or some shit.
Yeah,
Really?
like Brett Rippon. Yeah, that was Brett Rippon came in and beat us. I think we got to 0-4 at that point.
This
Rashad
is
Penny, Chris Hogan.
Hassan. Well, this is Hassan Reddick. You got Hassan Reddick who didn't even play.
Oh yeah, they got rid of Huff and brought in Hassan Reddick. That was a disaster.
Oh man, this is just.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Ivory was there. Bilal, I love Bilal Powell.
Yep, one of my favorites.
Love Bilal Powell. He's one of my favorite Jets.
Keone Pua was a good player. Yeah,
Never forget the 2017 Bilal Powell, the run against the Jaguars where he was down and he wasn't touchdown, got back up and took it to the house. I believe that was Chandler Catanzaro, I think, kicked the game-winning field goal that game. There was a bunch of stiff kickers for a couple of years, though. They were rolling Sam Ficken out there. Kari Vedvik blew week 1, and then Darnold got mono, and the season went to garbage.
Remember, wasn't Kari Vedvik the one that could punt and kick?
Yeah, he was missing kicks and warm-ups of that game week 1, and they stuck him out there. They were blaming it on the win. They stuck him out there, and he shanked 2 in the game. They had to go for 2. They were out of kicker. The guy couldn't hit the water out of a boat if he couldn't hit water if he jumped out of a boat. Yep. Vedvik. Oh, that was the Le'Veon Bell's debut. He caught the 2-point conversion. I think did he score that game too? Le'Veon Bell, he actually had a good debut if I remember correctly.
I think he did.
And Vedvik spoiled it. That was it. The CJ Mosley pick 6, and then he got hurt, and he didn't play. And then he sat out COVID season.
No, he got hurt. Then they brought him back too soon.
Brought him back. Yeah, I think they brought him back for the Ghost game. Got hurt again, and that was the end of it. Yeah, Ghost game.
Wait, how did this stream get to this? Why'd you bring me
I don't
down
know.
this
How
path,
did we?
Matt?
We started the It was the mid-round receivers.
Oh my God, we were positive for an hour and 15 minutes, and now we're doing this. Come on, man.
You could go down Jets memory lane for ages.
Oh my God. Austin Seferian-Jenkins too, another one.
Yeah, I still can't get over that non-touchdown. Yeah,
I agree.
Against the Patriots in 2017, like Armin said, that was such nonsense.
Vernon Golson couldn't even get a special teams tackle. He was so bad. He couldn't get it's just
Hamza Nasruddin. He stunk. I think he was from Auburn too. He was another
God. This is
Jabari Zuniga. There was a couple early bad Joe Douglas picks. Yeah, Matt Forte. I had a Matt Forte poster.
Yep. Actually, I think I have a Jermaine Kearse signed helmet. I think. Dwayne Robertson, human bowling ball. Oh my goodness.
I have a 2019. When I went to camp. I have a like a signed football from like the whole team. It's like Osemele's on there, Perry Nickerson's on there, Jamal Adams is on there. I should just throw the ball away. There's nobody left on there with any value.
Dimitri Patterson leaving the team. Oh man,
there's some there's some good ones.
All right, well, I don't know how we ended on
Chris
this.
Herndon.
Another one.
He should have been on there. He was another one that everybody had high expectations for.
No, he did. No, he was. Yeah, he had a lot of talent. He got hurt a lot and just.
Yeah, hurt a lot.
It's just why are we going down this path? I don't understand. We don't need to go down this path. Hackenberg, second round, didn't even play. He wasn't able
never
to
played.
Can't even start a game. They were scared to.
Bulls kicking a field goal down 41-0 against the Patriots.
Hold on. Just for you, Tony.
Jets memory lane.
Yeah, this is a brutal.
Yeah. Now is the time to look. We got to look inward and forward.
I got a funny story for you. So when Neil O'Donnell came to the Jets, they were playing a game against the Titans, and it was pouring rain, dude. It was like miserable. Maybe 20,000 fans there, sitting lower level. Eddie George and all this other shit, right?
Yep.
Neil O'Donnell gets hurt in warmups. He hurts his calf in warmups. So we're sitting there watching him warm up. All of a sudden, he grabs his leg, and I'm like, wait a minute. Like, he got hurt in warmups. And I just lost, dude. I'm like, are you kidding me? So, like, I run down. I'm just ripping the Jets' shirts. I'm like, you guys. I take my hat. I throw it on the field. Security comes running down. They throw me out of the stadium. So I had to go.
Really?
I had to go in the security office, sit there, right? And now you're sitting there, and, like, it's right before. I got thrown out in the first quarter. So now I'm sitting there at halftime, and so they bring me down the room. They're like, well, sir, why are you here? I'm like, well, I threw my hat. This team sucks. I'm hammered, too. And they're like, well, are you sure? I'm like, that's my hat on the counter. They're like, you're admitting to this? I'm like, yeah, I hate this team. I'm like, I hate this team. I hate losing. I'm like, I want my hat back at least. And the security guard felt so bad for me. Like, dude, you just been through it right now. He's like, yeah, man, here's your hat. He's like, we're going to kick you out of the stadium. But he's like, what we'll do is we'll let you watch the team walk into the locker room at halftime. I'm like, I don't want to see the fucking team. Like, I don't want to see them. I hate this team. So they give me my hat back. They walk me out the side door. They're like, yeah, man, you're banned from a year from the stadium. I'm like, I'm never coming back here. I don't care. Then I had to write a letter to MetLife or to a Giant Stadium, to the Jets, to the NFL to get reinstated to be allowed back in the stadium because they were like, yeah, you're like, yeah, the Jets broke me, dude. The Neil O'Donnell injury actually broke me. That was the end for me. I couldn't take it anymore. It's like I throw out of the stadium.
It was funny. I have not exactly like a incident with me, but it was funny. I was 2018. I've probably told you this a lot, but a close friend of mine, he's a big Bills fan. So just about every year, this year with being at him at college and stuff, we didn't go to the game. I went to the Bills game. That was a huge mistake. That was a waste of a train ticket and $150 down the drain. Still go watch them get blown out and the Rutgers marching band playing at halftime, just what I paid for. But 2018, you remember the Darnold foot injury where like it seemed like they were like benching him after the Miami game? You couldn't, like, looking back at that game, you couldn't find any point where it looked like he hurt his foot. So the next week they played the Bills. That was the Matt Barkley game where he went off like it was 41-10. We got destroyed. Josh McCown played. It was a disaster. And there was a season ticket holder who he always sits in that section. He listens to the radio. He's like he has his 1968 AFC championship hat. It's like brown now. It's just, years old, so old. And it was so funny. I don't know. Then Barkley probably threw a touchdown for whatever to make it 41-10. And he's just like, he just takes his headset and just chucks it. And he's like, I'm so sick of watching the same garbage every week. And the guy turns next to him. He's like, we'll be back here next week. He's like, yep, I got nothing else good to do with my life. It's just 50 years of just suffering right there.
It's brutal, man. They break you, man. They break you completely.
Yeah.
It's awful. So
it's some of these games, like you look back on, I mean, you just don't know, like, what the heck was I doing there? Like, what was I doing going to that game week 2 this year? Like, the game was, once Fields fired one past Garrett, I knew it was over. And he was concussed. Mitch Trubisky's burning sauce. Jeez. There's some bad 2021.
This guy keeps bouncing on off. What do you? Oops, hold on. I'm trying to bring him on. What are you doing, man? You're on. You're off. What are you doing down there?
Wi-Fi issues.
Wi-Fi issues.
Yeah.
Bubs, they think you're cute. Just so you know.
Well, like to start off positive, I think what we did in free agency was to bolster up both sides of the ball. You still got certain positions that, I think the draft should be able to help with. I still like Arvell Reese at number 2. Okay. Even though there was some talks about, helping with safety, but I don't think we need somebody like a Caleb Downs.
Caleb Downs ain't gonna be there, man. Especially now with all the injury stuff, the injury concerns and stuff like that. And they added three safeties too. They're not gonna do that.
Yeah. I want to see what what's there at 16, because believe it or not, everybody's saying like Jeremiah Love's gonna go like within the top 10. I mean, you never know. They could I don't know if because I know the other Ohio State receiver is gonna come next year. Now, I believe dang, I forgot his name. I think his name is Jeremiah, but he's supposed to be coming out next
Next year, yeah.
Jeremiah
draft.
Smith?
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeremiah Smith. Yeah, next year's draft. I'm unsure. You know, they may take Carnell Tate. Some teams in the top 10, depending on if they need receivers. You know, you just never know within the draft what's going to happen. I like Malachi Lemon. I like Sadiq. The Jordan Tyson.
Gotta take one of them at 16 for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, so it's just, you know, it's like for me, I like the draft, but the key thing for me always is the production on the field. Like what's going to happen? How is it going to look? You know, I think it should be around like week 5, week 6. We should get like a clear grasp of what the season is going to look like. Because and what they also really should do is again get a veteran backup. You know, somebody like Andy Dalton. I'm still for Sam Howell, but you know, if Andy Dalton's out there on the market, you know, see what you can get and build around the team. Because
What do you think about Will Levis?
then I'm punting the season. I'm punting the season. Oh, I'm really hoping that Geno Smith stays healthy because you know I'm not dealing with somebody that can throw a pick 6 and cost us the game. You know, I'm not trying to hear that. Not even to mention, you know, towards like the later weeks, the backups are going to start being in and stuff. You know, because we only going to win a certain amount of games. I think if the Jets average like 3 touchdowns a game, and then you know here and there the special teams get a touchdown, or the defense gets a pick 6 out of nowhere, like we could win 6 or 7 games this year if we play competitively. You know.
Yep. No, 100%.
It's-
Dude. Your
it's
Wi-Fi's
really tough to
killing us,
tell.
dude.
And
His Wi-Fi's terrible.
oh my,
Thanks for calling it, man.
that's why it was hard to be on.
It's all right, man.
Yes, of course, no doubt.
We'll catch you next week. The Glenn Foley was a really good. He was from Boston College. He was a gunslinger. Parcells loved him. He just can never stay healthy, dude. He was always hurt, dude. But I liked him a lot, man. He had I think it was a game against the 49ers. It was a huge game. And then he got hurt and they brought in Vinny Testaverde and they made that run in 98. But Foley was the guy. He couldn't stay healthy. So that was another what if.
He bounced. He was like in Seattle for a bit, right after.
He bounced all over the place.
Or was it a year in Seattle maybe? Or I thought I remember him. Yeah, he was. My dad tells me a lot about the 90s and stuff. He was what 94,
98.
like he got. drafted. Was he?
Oh yeah, it must have been. Was it 90? I don't
Because
remember.
90, yeah. How long was he? He wasn't in. Was he after the Jets? I don't think he was.
Let's see.
Very long.
Career. He had potential though. You just can never stay healthy. He was, let's see, Glenn Foley's stats career. All right, we got here. This is how bad this show's been going. We're doing Glenn Foley. So in 94, you're right. 94 was his first year. 96.
But he didn't. It was
Right, he went
90. Like yeah.
Yep. So the year he had the potential was 98. He got hurt.
Yeah.
He played with Seattle in 99, and that was it. And he retired. Damn.
Glenn Foley. There's a lot of them. This is just Brooks Bollinger.
Oh my God. Another guy.
99. Okay.
Yep.
Well, yeah, there's. Remember Bryce Petty when he got sandwiched by Ndamukong Suh and Cameron Wake?
Why are we going down this
Remember that?
path of misery? Why? Why are we doing this? We were talking about being encouraged by Geno Smith,
Yeah,
and
we
all
were.
this stuff, and now we're going down this Tom Tupa, Rick Meyer, all this other shit. We're talking about Ray Lucas pretty soon. What are we doing here?
Kyle
I'll
Brady.
never forget this. I'll never forget Kyle Brady Lawrence. I was there for that.
That was probably.
at
Oh, you were at the draft?
Oh,
Really?
I was pissed. Couldn't take it. I was out of my
Only
mind.
the Jets.
Yep. We were all chanting Warren Sapp. Warren. That was a
Yeah.
foregone conclusion. The whole thing was because he passed the friggin' he failed the drug test.
He did. That was back when they held the draft in New York, right?
Yep. It was great.
That was like every year.
Yep. It was on all day
Wow, so
Saturday.
you were
started at
there.
noon
That's
on
pretty cool.
Saturday. Oh yeah.
Well, I guess it's cool and not cool.
Yeah,
You
it was
know,
terrible.
cool that you were there, but watching the Jets screw up the draft. What else is new?
Yep. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us as we started out positive and then we went down memory lane of all the wrong way. Oh, Vlad Dukas. Oh my God, another one. Oof. Jesus.
Who I forget who was the senior assistant they brought in on the offensive side of the football. Was that under Rex?
Tom
They brought in.
Moore.
I remember. Yeah, was it Tom Moore? That was what he didn't. When was that?
It was a while ago.
That didn't last very long, right?
Oh, I think it was Tom Moore. Was that his name? Ugh. Jeff Blake wasn't terrible. He was better once he left here. He had big years with the Bengals.
It's usually what happens. You know who's actually pretty solid on a positive note? Jordan Jenkins wasn't bad.
I like Jordan Jenkins a lot, man. He was
Out of
really
Georgia,
good
I
to us
think.
too. Yeah, he was really good to us. He did a lot of interviews with us. He was really good to us.
Yeah. Jordan Jenkins, tongue twister. He was good. I think he was what was it? 21 did he leave? Because I think he spent some time in Houston after,
Yeah,
I
he had a
believe.
solid career.
Yeah, I think we got him out of Georgia. And then that one linebacker we had, I forget his name during the COVID season. Oh,
Not
I
Aaron
forget his
Henderson.
name. He was pretty good too. He was with us for a year, and I think he might have went to Houston as well. The what was his name? Neville Hewitt.
Neville Hugh was a good player. He was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I want the Jets to re-sign him.
Yeah, Neville Hewitt was a good player. Luke Falk mentioned that's a disgrace.
Aaron Maben, who came back and got all the sacks. Him and who was the guy from the Jaguars? It was Aaron Maben and the other guy. Oh, damn it. He was getting all the sacks. I could see it, the long hair. Oh, damn it. I forget who
The
that was.
same, what was the same? It's like
The
those
same
the
time period as
2000
Aaron Maben. It
like
was
12?
a guy. Yeah. He came from the Jaguars. Sam Cowart was a bust from the Bills. Who the hell was it? It was,
Jaguars.
yeah, somebody came from the Jaguars, and he came and he was like Aaron Maben was getting sacks, and there was this like they were like the 1-2 punch. These two guys, Jets pass rusher. Like, who the hell is it? Oh man, this is a while back. Anybody got it? You guys suck. You guys already know this. That's how you know it's old.
I can't. Thinking about it, I thought of Henry Anderson.
No,
Remember him?
it's further back than that.
Yeah, Henry Anderson just popped up.
Jason Babin. That's what it was. Jason Babin. That's going back.
Henry Anderson was all right. It wasn't too
He was
bad.
cool. He was good, and he got his big contract, and then he kind of tailed
Yeah.
off a little bit.
Just like Muhammad Wilkerson, that disaster.
Yep.
Sheldon Richardson.
Sheldon was a good player, man.
Yeah, they all worked with Dunbar.
Because Sheldon
Funny.
left and still Sheldon
goes
left
back.
here and played good football. Him and Damon Harrison, Snacks Harrison.
Yeah,
They both mirrored-
yeah,
that was-
Snacks Harrison.
He was a good player too. He was
They screwed up letting him go. Yeah, he was
guy-
good. He was great with the fans too.
Well, the one guy they
Snacks.
kept was the worst one. They paid Mo Wilkerson and
Yeah.
Snacks and
Richardson left.
Sheldon. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I love Snacks. And he went to the Giants. I think he spent some time with the Lions.
Yep.
Yeah, Snacks was always awesome at camp. He was always great with the fans too. I love Snacks. He's still pretty cool with the fans on like Twitter and stuff.
Yeah. He's always
Steve McClendon. Remember him? He was
from the Steelers.
he was and I think they traded him, I think, during the COVID season. Him and Basham. Ugh. He's
Terrell Basham from the Cowboys.
Terrell Basham. Yeah. I think they traded him to the Niners for like a 6th-round pick during COVID. That was the and then they got Bradley McDougald from in the Jamal Adams trade.
Yep.
Tanzel Smart, the
I
shark,
like Tanzel Smart.
the charcuterie board.
All right, we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you guys for watching. Tomorrow, 7 o'clock, me and Ian will be here talking about the draft, and then that's it. And thank you guys for joining us. It's never a dull moment. We'll talk to you guys later. This
Have a
is
good
wild
one.
J-E-T-S,